What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. We have now reached the final day, the conclusion of the 2024 NFL Draft. We are here till day 3 of the draft. Washington has 3 more selections today, 2 in the 5th and 1 in the 7th. But let's talk about what Washington did on night 2 of the 2024 NFL Draft. According to Field Yates and a lot of others, Washington absolutely won night 2 of the NFL Draft on a night where we selected 5 players. We were predicted to take 5 players. It was supposed to be 2 in the second, 3 in the third, but we ended up making a huge trade with our ops, with the Philadelphia Eagles, one of our enemies and rivals in our division. We ended up making a trade and picking 3 times in the second round and 2 in the third. But let's get right to it. You already know what we did on night 1 of the draft. We brought in Jayden Daniels from LSU, and we brought him in to address the media yesterday. And his opening presser went just about as well as it could possibly go. He is not overstamping, over promising so that he can underdeliver. He's coming in and saying the right things. Like, someone asked him about being a franchise quarterback and a leader right away, and he was like, I don't even know the playbook yet. I can't be talking like that when I don't even know the offense yet. Just seems like an overall good ass kid. Looked clean at the podium. I think we're going to be getting a number announcement in the coming days, because I believe a transaction is being worked out behind the scenes for him to wear number 5. But let's talk about what the team did on night 2 of the NFL Draft. If my voice doesn't sound like it does usually, it's because it's a little bit hoarse. And I want to thank you. So everybody, even if you chimed in for 5 seconds, everybody who chimed in to our draft party streams on Thursday and Friday, I appreciate you. I love you with my whole heart. Back to back 5-hour streams with your boys, yelling, screaming, laughing, geeking. You will have no voice left either. But those draft watch party streams are so special because it's like we're all sitting in one big ass house together, reacting to the draft in real time. Appreciate everybody that came through for shits, giggles, and a good time as we awaited every Washington Commanders pick. And I love what Washington's doing. At first glance, when I look at how Washington attacked night 2 of the draft, you can totally see that Adam Peters is in full control here, full reign, 100% autonomy to build this shit in his vision. There's no meddlesome owner stepping off a yacht saying, take this player. I seen a picture of the Carolina Panthers draft room. Dave Tepper is sitting in the middle of that hoe with a laptop open, like he's drafting with the front office. Josh Harris is not doing that. Josh Harris is sitting on a little foldable chair with a solo cup in front of him. And whenever we draft a guy, he comes on at the end and says some cliche shit, welcome to the team, yada, yada, yada. And, in this little Josh Harris, what, we got to have you, man. Welcome to Washington, man. We really like you in our build. His little snide ass voice. But Josh Harris is just observing. Dave Tepper is meddling. He is Dan Snyder 2.0, except he's about that action. He's on site when someone talks about his name crazy. So be careful when you talk about Dave Tepper in person. But let's talk about how Washington handled this. Night 2 of the draft is defined as best player available for Washington. We all know about the need we have at left tackle. We all know about the need we have at starting boundary cornerback. Adam Peters said, we are going by our draft board. So however that shit is ordered, we're going to take them. And I'm totally fine with that. Good teams operate by best player available. And you have to think about even the good players on our current roster. Adam Peters did not bring them here. He did not draft them. He did not trade for them. He did not sign them. So he does not necessarily have to see them as the foundational building blocks as the last regime did. And nothing screams that more than our first, second round pick. At number 36, Washington got a guy who had no freaking business being on the board at the time, Jer'Zhan Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle out of Illinois, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year this year, an AP All-American, and a runner-up for the Nagurski, which is the nation's top defensive player. This dude is an absolute baller. Like, he screams Aaron Donald-esque on tape. He was mocked to be a top 15 to 20 pick by 95% of the mock draft world, but him and like a lot of others fell to the wayside because the run on wide receivers, the run on offensive tackles, and 6 quarterbacks going on round 1 pushed some elite talent down the board. So Jer'Zhan Newton was staring the team at the face. Obviously, we have needs. The tackles we were interested in, the tackles we wanted as fans, they ended up going at the end of the second or late third, and some of them are still on the board. So these guys looked at their board and said, we couldn't even lie to ourselves and not take this guy. Dan Quinn and Joe Witt have told you 2 things about their defense, or 3 things actually. They want to be violent. They want to sack the quarterback. They want to turn the ball over. And to those of you who say, I mean, that's cliche, but no, these are guys that actually get busy, that coach, develop, and they bring their plan to action. Jer'Zhan Johnny Newton has some of the most violent hands in the draft. Oh, let's talk about his name first of all. His name is Jer'Zhan Newton, and they call him Johnny as a nickname. I watched someone ask him why they call him Johnny, and he was like, I have no idea. He was like, people called me Zani, and then that turned to people calling me Johnny, and that shit stuck for the rest of his life. It'd be like that sometime. It definitely be like that sometime. But one, he has violent hands, very, very violent hands. And Joe Witt said violent at least 7 times in his opening presser. Jer'Zhan Newton had 7.5 sacks as a D tackle last year. I'm telling you, bro, when you look at undersized D tackle that's just whooping ass on the front line as a pass rush specialist, you see nothing but Aaron Donald traits when you look at this guy. I've seen him compared to, seen him comp to Javon Hargrave and Geno Atkins. If he falls somewhere in between that, we got an absolute dog. What I will tell you is, for fans who think this has any resemblance of the Fedarian Mathis pick, absolutely fucking not. Jer'Zhan Newton was one of the best 15 players in this NFL draft who fell due to offense taking over the first round. Fedarian Mathis had no goddamn idea he was going second. He had no, his agent and him got the call, and they looked at each other flabbergasted as hell, like, oh shit, we really went second round. This ain't Fedarian Mathis. And what this does now with John Allen cap number going up to $23 million in 2025, Payne just got the bag. Someone could be expendable, but they're going to utilize all 3 guys this year. And John Ridgeway, a guy Dan Quinn coached in Dallas. We poached him, and now he's coaching John Ridgeway again. That is a really, really stout 4D tackle unit. Payne, Allen, Jer'Zhan, John Ridgeway. You see how I didn't include the trash can we took in the second round a couple years ago, right? Fedarian Mathis was another glaring mistake pick and a symbol of what Ron Rivera's tenure in Washington was, but I am glad to have him here. It was funny when we reacted to it live. We were all just talking about the defensive tackle position. Like, man, I would hate it if they took a D tackle, but I couldn't even be mad if they took a guy like Jer'Zhan Newton, because he's an absolute dog and has no business being on the board at 36. So to summarize, Jer'Zhan Newton, defensive tackle, 36. And then Washington was on the board at 40 until they weren't. We decided not to pick at 40. We decided to accept a phone call from Howie Roseman and our ops in Philadelphia. The Eagles called, and we completed a trade down from 40. We gave them 40, 78, which is a third, and 152 in a pick swap situation for 50, 53, and 161. And what that did was, instead of now having 3 thirds and 2 seconds, we flip-flop. We now get 3 seconds. So we now pick it 36, 50, and 53. And then we're back on the clock at 67 and 100. So we now have 2/3 and 3 seconds. And with that second round pick, this is the one you run home about. This is the pick that excites the hell out of you. We went and got the best defensive player from the best college defense, the national championships. Come on down, cornerback Mikey Sainristil out of Michigan. And for those who have not really watched Michigan, you're going to see this diminutive corner and say, what is this, Jimmy Moreland? This dude is a freak. He's a baller. This is the definition of playing with your hair on fire. Slot corner extraordinaire. Adam Peters said he's going to play in the star position here in Washington. This is a plug and play inside cornerback with the capabilities of playing on the outside, according to my boy Jalen and according to a lot of draft scouts. I understand you don't want to put a 5'8", 190-pound corner or 5'9", 190-pound corner against some of the big bodies this league have, but this dude is fearless. He's a dog. You can send him on blitzes. He's everywhere. He had 6 interceptions this year. If you don't want to take my word for it, turn on the national championship game, Michigan against Washington, and he's all over the field the entire game. I know we need a body on the boundary on the outside, but clearly they have a plan for Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin St. Juste. I think we add another corner on the boundary in our final 3 picks, but this dude, Mikey Sainristil, he's different, bro. He's so different. And he starts the run of like high relative athletic score guys here. 4-4 guy, a 1.51 10-yard split, decent arm length with 30 inches. But the dude, he's not a genetic freak. He's a freak when you see what he could do on the field. Nick Saban, the greatest college football coach in the history of football, said Mikey Sainristil is the best pound for pound player in the entire draft. Chris Sims said, it would not surprise me in 2 years if Mikey Sainristil is not the best slot corner in the entire league. Need I say more? And his demeanor. Did you hear his draft call when Adam Peters called him? Cool, calm, collective, ready to go. Hey, what's up? Hey, this is Mikey. Yeah, I'm having a party. I got some people over here. That boy is about that action. And I demand Mikey Sainristil, when he comes in the building, to challenge Marcus Mariota to a duel for the number 0, because he wears number 0, and I need my number 0 to be someone who gets active. I don't need our first number 0 being someone who's not going to get on the field in 2024. I'm sorry. Mikey Sainristil, step up to the plate, challenge him to a duel, a Yu-Gi-Oh battle, a Pokemon battle, a dance contest. I don't care what it is. Pick number 0. Rock it as a duplicate in the offseason. Talk to the equipment managers. We need that guy rocking number 0. But Mikey Sainristil was the first pick we took after we traded back with Philadelphia. So at 36, we took Jer'Zhan Newton. At 50, we took Mikey Sainristil, which took us up to 53. We're sitting here like, we got to draft the tackle now, right? It's got to be a tackle now, right? Absolutely not, because Adam Peters said we're sticking to our board. And we took Ben Sinnott, tight end, Kansas State. I know y'all seen me and Josh's stream not too long ago. He absolutely adores this guy as a prospect. Loves Ben Sinnott. He's been talking the Ben Sinnott gospel all offseason. He even met him and interviewed him at the Senior Bowl. He kept telling me all offseason, don't be surprised if Ben Sinnott is the second or third tight end taken. And what did Washington do? We made him the second tight end drafted in this class, before JT Sanders, before Theo Johnson, before the rest of those guys. And he is a genetic freak. He had a 9.49 relative athletic score, with his size being he's just under 6'4", 250 pounds. He ran a 4.68, had a high ass vertical, and he has like the second highest vertical of a tight end over 250 pounds since Vernon Davis, 32-inch arms, absolute freak of nature. They say, or come straight for the source, Adam Peters said he reminds him a little bit of Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle all in one player. Watch his combine highlights. That is a fluid inline tight end, but also can be used like a fullback, H-back. This guy is going to get some work here in Washington. Him and Zach Ertz are going to get some work together here in Washington. Us taking a tight end in the second means that they saw it just like we saw it. We definitely need some help in that room. He's a dog. He catches the ball, a lot of contested catches, natural movement. He looks like, look at his face. He looks like a starting tight end in this league. I'm excited to have him here. I think the Cole Turner experiment is coming to a close. I think you're looking at a tight end room of Zach Ertz, Ben Sinnott, and John Bates, because you got to have a blocking guy. This guy is a very willing blocker because he has that fullback type gene in him. I think the reason a lot of people look away from Ben Sinnott when they look at his highlight tape is because he looks like Shaq in an NFL uniform because he's wearing number 34. Let's get that guy in a teens number or an 80s number ASAP. Get him out of 34. Don't need him looking like a fullback, even if he is part of his comp is a Kyle Juszczyk type guy. I think you're going to see him used primarily as a tight end here, and I think we got us one. I think we got us one of those guys. People love the pick. I'm seeing A's, A+ grades on our first 3 picks in the second round. And here's where it gets interesting. We move on to the third round. We go to Brandon Coleman, offensive guard or offensive tackle, TCU, Texas Christian University, the Horned Frogs. And we go get a guy who's just under 6'5", 313 pounds. But on first glance, to me, he looks like a guard. Wide back, big neck roll. He definitely looks like a Tyron Smith build tackle. And he started a bunch of games at tackle, and he started games at guard. He ran under 5 at the combine, which surprised me because on tape he looks very fleet-footed. I know in the chat yesterday it was a thing. Everybody was going on me because I kept saying he looks like a guard to me. Like he moves like a guard to me. But they're like, look at his combine score. And I'm like, but look at him on tape. But apparently Brandon Coleman is a dog. And Adam Peters let it be known very early. We plan to play this guy at tackle. So taking him at 67 in the third round with nothing but the bare minimum of humans at the left tackle position currently on the roster, I'd say Brandon Coleman has a good chance to start there. We may have to start out with Cornelius Lucas to start the season. We may have to give up we may have to give a call to a guy like DJ Humphries or David Bakhtiari, but there's still moves to be made after the draft, and we still have money to do stuff. But for now, if Brandon Coleman is going to be seriously considered to be our left tackle, I need him to show up. I need him to show out, and I need him to have a good mini camp, OTA type in training camp, because we are dying at that position. And I have a quarterback that we took it to that needs to be protected at all costs, handled with care. Brandon Coleman, I will say, if the experiment at tackle doesn't work out, he looks like he's going to be a phenomenal guard. I seen someone say he's going to be a Pro Bowl guard if it doesn't work out at tackle. So we're talking about sheriff. We're talking about guards if he doesn't work out at the tackle position. But I can see it working. And to wrap up Washington's day, we picked the final selection of the third round, someone that Adam Peters knows well from his time in Denver, knowing his father, from his time in San Francisco, knowing his brother, an all-world running back, Christian McCaffrey. We took Luke McCaffrey, wide receiver, Rice Owls, the Rice Owls program. Luke McCaffrey, a 6'2", 198-pound receiver. Are we getting the second coming of his father? Are we getting young Ed McCaffrey here? I've seen a lot of people throw out the comp Puka Nacua for Luke McCaffrey, and I'm looking at their relative athletic scores. If he's Puka Nacua, he's Puka with a better athletic profile. Puka Nacua, 6'1", 210, ran about a 4.59, so pretty much a 4.6. Luke McCaffrey ran a 4.48 with a freaking 1.52 10-yard split, and his three cone was a 6.7. That's a guy who moves as naturally and as fluid as possible. He's an inside outside receiver. He can kill you from the slot, he can kill you from the outside. He has a very refined route tree. And Jayden Daniels' specialty is throwing that slot fade. He can run the hell out of that slot fade. We can literally put him anywhere we want to. We can put him on the inside or the outside. He's going to be a natural there. He knows the McCaffrey family well. So he knows exactly who and what we're getting here with Luke McCaffrey. I know we had receivers like Troy Franklin that we had an affinity for. Clearly, there's something with Troy Franklin because he's still on the board 4 rounds into the draft. Nobody wants any part or anything to do with Troy Franklin. We went with Luke McCaffrey, and he's a guy, I've definitely mocked him a couple times. He's dope, man. He's nice, and we desperately need it. Whether they keep Jahan on the outside, which I don't want, and put Luke on the inside, they can move this guy around. This is a natural receiver. I think we could still take another big body boundary receiver later in the draft too, someone like a Josh Cephas, but I really like what we did on night 2 of the draft. We got a lot of plug and play guys. We didn't get any projects. We didn't get any science experiments. We didn't get any, if we can get this guy on the field in 2 or 3 years. Absolutely not. They trusted the board, their board, not the consensus board. They trusted their board. They stuck to their guns and their wits, and they picked players they feel like can come in and make an immediate impact. So Jer'Zhan Newton, Mikey Sainristil, Ben Sinnott, Brandon Coleman, Luke McCaffrey. Welcome to the Washington Commanders. Washington still has 3 picks left on the clock. We pick in the 5th round twice. We pick at number 139. We pick at number 161 and number 222. I did my final little mock draft where I made those selections. For whatever reason, 23-year-old cornerback out of Notre Dame, Cam Hart, was there at 139. That was my selection. Then at 161, we took running back Isaac Guerrero out of Louisville, 4.3 speed running back. I need some juice in that room. And to close out the draft, I took Josh Cephas, UTSA, University of Texas, San Antonio, big body boundary receiver, because 2 receivers make sense to me because I know how the air raid offense works. You're operating out of 3, 4, 5 wide receiver sets on a regular basis, and you can never get enough bodies in the room, and you can never get enough size for receivers in the room. I would love a wide receiver room that consists of Terry Dotson, Luke McCaffrey, Josh Cephas, Jamison Crowder, and whatever we do with the rest of that room. I'm excited to see how we close it out, and I'm excited to welcome these guys into DC. The mood and the atmosphere feels very different. We definitely have real football evaluators making these picks now. That's all I got for right now. I need to order me some pho and some throat lozenges because I'm a little hoarse from the last 2 days. I'm not going to be able to make it out to today's draft party. So those who get to pull up to the harbor, y'all enjoy the hell out of that. Take lots of pictures. I will talk to y'all soon. Until next time, hail to the Washington Commanders. Commander Rio out.